In this video, we will take a brief look at the common law tort of passing off. We focus on how an intention to deceive consumers is relevant to such an action. As you will come to see, evidence of an intention to deceive is not an element of the action, but is primarily relevant in looking at the likelihood of consumers being deceived. Passing off has its foundations in the common law tort of deceit. Passing off can simply be described as an action arising where one trader misleads consumers about its relationships with another trader with an established reputation of some kind. In Redaway and Banham, Lord Herschel laid down the test for passing off, which has since been developed in Australian courts. The plaintiff must have some established goodwill in the material used by the defendant. The defendant misrepresents that its goods are that of the plaintiff or associated with the plaintiff in a way likely to deceive the consuming public, and that this deceit or misrepresentation results in damage to the plaintiff. Although there is no precise definition of passing off, a plaintiff bringing this action must establish the three elements known as the classic trinity, which are substantially the same as outlined in Redaway and Banham, being the existence of an established reputation or goodwill recognized by the public, misrepresented by the defendant as its own, the result of which being damage to the plaintiff. Misrepresentation is key to an action for passing off. However, unlike many other torts, there is no prerequisite to the success of an action in passing off that the defendant be shown to have intentionally made the representation. That is, a defendant need not be shown to have intentionally misrepresented to the consumer that their goods were somehow associated with those of the plaintiff with an established reputation. In some cases, there may be direct evidence or an extremely strong inference that the defendant intended to deceive the consumer. However, as we've seen, proof of this is not pivotal to the success of an action. Clearly, an intentional deception as to the nature of the goods and their association with the goods of another is more likely to found a successful action, though. But of what relevance is evidence showing an actual subjective intention to mislead? For guidance on this, we can look at the case BODM v DKSH Australia at paragraph 212. The court therein said that proof of deliberate borrowing of the features or get-up of a rival's product provides evidential value, and referred to a High Court decision in the early 1930s. That case was Australian Woolen Mills v FS Walton, where the High Court stated that, in terms of establishing an actual deception of the public, adoption of a rival's mark or get-up for the purpose of appropriating part of the trade or reputation of a rival, it should be presumed to be fitted for the purpose and therefore likely to succeed. The courts thus place emphasis on the capacity of traders to actually deceive consumers where it can be shown that this was their intent. In other words, in establishing whether or not there is an actual deception of the public, element 2 in the action of passing off, evidence of an intention to deceive will operate as a presumption that there is actual deception. Of course, evidence to the contrary may be led by the defendant. To summarize, as we've seen briefly in this video, passing off involves three elements, being a proven reputation or goodwill of a trader in their goods or get-up, a misrepresentation by the defendant, whether intentional or not, which is likely to deceive consumers, and consequent damages. A plaintiff who can show the defendant intended to deceive the public benefits from a presumption that the mechanisms adopted by the defendant are, in fact, likely to deceive. A plaintiff may also enjoy a greater award for damages if intention to deceive is established. Thank you.